These guys, I'm telling you, the young people playing the walkers are the real heart and soul of the movie, just like in the book. And they did a great job of adapting the book. Stephen King's happy, so that when he's happy, I'm happy. And I had some reservations about the violence, but after a phone call with Francis Lawrence, I was so ready to do it. I mean, I do my homework. I went to IMDb and I watched all of the Hunger Games and all of his movies, and I thought he's the perfect guy to do this, and I'm glad I did. Well, it's this weird sort of retro, futuristic, dystopian society where the government sponsors these things. I'm the nominal antagonist, but the state is really the antagonist. I don't know. I mean, you just have to accept the premise. It's bonkers. But like I say, it's all a way to draw you into what happens when they actually are on the long walk, which is interesting because when I filmed it, I wasn't around when they were doing all these things. I read the book, I read the script. I thought the script did a great job of capturing the book. He has such a great way of depicting human interaction. And The Life of Chuck and Long Walk couldn't be more different. He's much more versatile. I mean, because when people say Stephen King, they think of horror and the supernatural. And of course, in both Chuck and Long Walk, there are no supernatural elements whatsoever. He's just great, just a great writer, one of the best ever. It's pre-space movies and post-space movies. Because pre-space movies, I could be a fan and walk on the floor and go to Artist Row and look at comic books and all those things. But then I made a movie called The Comic Book the Movie, which was a mock documentary. And I was playing Don Swan. So when I was on the floor, I'd say, hey, if you call me Don, you could be in the movie. If you call me Mark, we're going to have to cut it out. And people were really cooperative, so it was great. That was the last time I was actually able to walk the floor.
I didn't expect it to be as emotional for me. I was walking the floor yesterday, and what kind of came over me was a sense of community and seeing how happy, I could get emotional thinking about it, how happy everybody was to be here and to celebrate their fandoms and to find community within that, and people from all walks of life, all places, all colors. It was amazing to see, and not to mention how dope the cosplays are too, and to cosplay with pride and to be able to compliment people and say, damn, it looks great, I know who you're cosplaying as. So I loved it, and I've never experienced anything like this in my life. Comic-Con is unlike anything I've seen. It's been on my bucket list to go to Comic-Con since I was 9, and to be here now walking the carpet next to Mark Hamill is a really cool life moment. Yeah, look, it's thinking who would sign up for this, right? And I think that it comes out of a place of necessity in some ways for these boys in the dystopian world that they're living in. And Stebbins has a very unique reason for joining the Long Walk, something that I don't want to necessarily spoil for fans, but fans of the book will have been aware. And I think it's a very dynamic thing to watch Stebbins' performance and his motivation change from the beginning of this walk then towards the end. Of course, you've seen the film. And I think going into it with this idea of I'm going to beat all of these boys, and I don't want to get close to them because I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to hurt myself because I know I'm going to beat them all. And to see that kind of shifting throughout the film, I think is a really cool thing to see as an audience member, but as an actor to play, it was a really cool thing to be able to play. Well, let me tell you, I walked 261 miles on that movie, so I feel like we paid our dues here, and we walked quite a while. I mean, it was towards the end. Look, at the beginning, I remember standing on set with Ben Wong, who played the Karate Kid, so cool, and it's 100-degree heat, and there's 50 boys, and we're all walking through this neighborhood, and it is just grueling. We walked 12 miles that day. And I remember after our first take, Ben turned to me and he goes, what on earth did we get ourselves into? And so it was hard at the beginning because, you're breaking your feet and you're getting these blisters going and you break these shoes in. But then towards the end of the production, I felt like I could walk forever. In some ways, I feel like we're trauma bonded because of this experience that we had. And to wake up every day, some days our call time would be 3 a.m, right? And to wake up at 3 a.m. and know that we've got a long walk ahead of us and to be there together, I think built a lot of team spirit amongst these boys. And I'm so grateful for the time that we shared together because I really do care for them and I really respect these boys. I mean, Stephen King is a legend, right? We all know The Shining, we all know Carrie, we all know Misery. Like, Stand By Me, The Green Mile. He is a legend. He's a living legend. And to be able to bring an iconic Stephen King character to life in his lifetime is one of the greatest honors of my life. Not only to mention like a fan favorite character as Stebbins, he had to approve all of our castings, and so to know that he gave his blessing to be able to, for me to play Stebbins was really meaningful to me. Hunger Games is what made me want to become an actor. I was a young kid. I remember watching it in my small town in Texas, and I saw this on the big screen. I said, I want to do this, And so, full circle moment, 12 years later, to be able to be working with the creator and the filmmaker behind the Hunger Games was so meaningful. And I tried to not get in my head about it, I tried to not psych myself out for this audition, but I understood, the gravitas that he carries, that Francis carries, and it does not pass me by. I am grateful for it every day to have worked with him. JT, who's standing right there, talented man. He wrote Strange Darling, he directed Strange Darling. His adaptation of our book is so expert. I love you, JT! Is so expert. And he elevated this source material that Stephen King wrote and has gifted fans a new alternate world that's still the same font, and you have new fresh ideas in it, and I think he did an amazing job at creating this. And of course Roy, who's standing right there, producer of the Minecraft movie. I mean, it's an honor.
Oh, it's awesome. It's such a beautiful movie. I think we're really proud of the work that we put into it. So to be able to celebrate in gorgeous San Diego at awesome SonderCon and now Comic-Con, it's really cool. Well, I think he's definitely looking for something. He's kind of in search of something more, and I think in life we're all kind of doing that, searching for something that's kind of outside of ourselves. And I think Pete, my character, really is looking for that. Look, I got to be honest. It was the perk of the job for me. It was being able to immerse yourself in something and not have to, we do enough acting. We don't need to act more. So yeah, we walked about 15 miles a day. A minimum was 8. And maximum I think was 22. Doing that, you kind of forget some of the silly acting things that you do, and you just give yourself away, and I was really lucky to have that. Oh, just look, those are my boys, these are my boys. I'm just so, honestly, there's one thing getting on with someone, there's another thing appreciating people for their work and their dedication, and every single boy in this just completely sacrificed and gave himself away to making something that felt bigger than us. So I love these boys, Cooper, Charlie, Tart, Garrett, Jordan, everyone. We all did, Ben, everyone. So big fans. Besides Stephen King, who obviously is like a master storyteller, and I'm talking about novella and books. He's got such craft to him, and his films are like cinematic history. So to be part of one of those is amazing. But also Francis Lawrence and lovely JT, who's next to me now. It's a community of making something that feels really special. So I'm honoured to be a part of it.
Oh man, I mean, being here, with the lads, with the team, it means so much, and this environment is hectic and crazy and exciting, and getting to experience that, I think, my first time in America, do you know what I mean? It's been such a journey, but no, it's great, and we've worked so hard, and we finally get to show the world what we've been working on, and we have this excitement build up. We can't share certain things, but now it's we're letting go, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Obviously, I think he says it in the first trailer. I can't stop thinking about that money. Do you know what I mean? And I think money is a motivating factor, but also he wants to just walk and make some friends. So what that means for him is he comes from a background. He grew up dirt poor, literally in Baton Rouge. and he's just a country boy that's trying to, you know, figure things out, and they're all so young, you know. So even I personally, and they might not agree with me, you know, and I had this conversation with Francis, but I don't know if they willingly signed up. Obviously, the premise is they did, but when you're socially conditioned to look at this, you know, the long walk as something, you know that they do every year, and it's patriotic and everything, is that really a choice? You know, you're conditioned to do that. So I think there's a lot of reasons, but for Baker, it's, you know, to make some friends, and also the money, you know, the motivation is, you know, financial freedom. That's the dilemma, right? You can't imagine yourself because you're outside of it. But in a world like, you know, Stephen King's A Long Walk world, you know, you don't, do we really have a choice? I don't think we do, you know, so, yeah. I mean, it's Stephen King. Do you know what I mean? It's Stephen King. But this story in particular spoke to me because I look at, when I first read the script, I was like to myself, okay, what am I feeling? And I felt, you know, a range of emotions, but the main emotion that I was feeling was almost gratitude, you know, to be, you know, in you know, to be able to be in a world where I can be free, you know, and also the fears of stepping into, you know, kind of a authoritarian type rule, you know, because I look at that and I felt gratitude, and I felt like I wanted to do the story justice. So being a part of that, you know, within itself, and then Stephen King, it was wonderful. It was wonderful, for real. Oh man. Like, I could go on for days about this. My feet, you know, they're still recovering. Like, obviously physically, it was, you know, it was a lot. Walking in the heat, you know, it's one continuous shot. We film one scene a day. You know, if you know, the sun is off by an inch, you know, it's not going to work because continuity and everything. But it's also like the mental side that was, you know, that you know, we had to kind of dig in and lean on each other, and that's why I'm so glad that, you know, the lads, everybody, Francis, you know, JT, always on set with us every day. You know, it's very rare, and just having that emotional support, I'm forever grateful, and it allowed us to be in our creative, you know, element in a way.
It's an honor. It's my first time at Comic-Con. I've always wanted to be here, but it was kind of like the same feeling I had about the Sundance Film Festival. I never wanted to go till I had a movie. So the fact that we were invited here, and I get to see the cast again, and you know, I only wish Francis Lawrence was with us, but other than that, it's been really exciting because I haven't seen these guys in a year. When we were on set, you know, nearly a year ago. So they're just a tremendous group of people, and that camaraderie came back instantly when they all got back together, and it was great to see that. Yeah, I revere Stephen King, so I think that I'm a filmmaker, so I have an understanding of what I think works on screen as opposed to what can work in a book, and sometimes they are the same and sometimes they're not, and so I felt like I was the guy for the job because I love Stephen King, and I wanted to keep the DNA of his original story, and I wanted his themes to be ever present in the movie, but I also wanted to shape it into this, you know, under 2-hour experience, and I think we did a pretty good job, and I'm hoping the world feels the same way. I think it probably was great for Francis. I've always wanted to do that as a director. I don't know how it felt or how it, in what ways it maybe challenged Francis as the director, but I do know that what I heard, especially from the cast, was that it was really, really beneficial for them as actors because they were able to age along with their characters, you know, and go through the events along with their characters. And it's a very important story for that to happen, and I think the performances are just transcendent, and I feel like that probably has a lot to do with it. Just really special, so I think I'm constantly, as I move onto projects, I'm trying to recreate that in a way. And I'm also, you know, I learned a lot from Francis. He's been directing movies for a long time. He's directed some really, really good ones, so to be able to watch him work, to be able to have conversations with him, to learn from him, the way his set works like a well-oiled machine. He works with this great line producer named Mika and his cinematographer Yo. It moves a certain way, and I gleaned a lot from that. And Roy is just sort of, I call him my fairy godfather, because he, ever since I met him, things have been going really, really well for me, and it's because he's just a really good human being who cares about the art of filmmaking. And it's not common you meet producers who feel that way, and when you run into one, you got to hold on to them tight.
I'm very excited and thrilled to be able to meet everybody again and to talk about it in front of the group of people at Hall H. And I think JT's, it's his first time and to see Hall H, and it's just going to be fun. Well, I've read every Stephen King novel, and when after it, I was said if I wanted to pick any other novel that I could adapt, then they would give it to me. And so when this one became available, I was like, of course, I would love to do this. And it was the fastest from development to production of a movie I've been involved with. So like from the time we started till the time it wrapped was under 18 months. Well, it was definitely something where the emotional drain and the what they did on their bodies was apparent on the film during this filming of it, because they were getting skinnier, they were just getting tired, and it was something that I guess none of us were used to shooting, because we've always done things according to like whatever fits the schedule as opposed to just shooting it as a straight movie. They all became friends. I mean, it was great to seeing them from the start, where they were just getting to know each other, didn't know the acting styles of each other, but by the end they were all buddies, and you could tell that they're going to be buddies for life. Francis, this is actually my first time working with Francis, and he's so collaborative, and he's the most humble person that on the set. It was just really wonderful working with him. Well, it was actually, it felt like it's a continuation of it, because it was during the post-production of Strange Darling when I had gotten the rights to this book, and I mentioned it to him, and he's like, I love that book. And so everything just came together, and so it sort of flowed from Strange Darling right into Long Walk and hopefully into another one.